Hey guys, Boardnail back with you. On this video I return to the Midnight Club. This is my review of episode 6. The episode is called Witch. Full spoilers once again. So the stakes are really raised in this episode. The stakes with Anya and her conditioning, which continues to deteriorate when you have the regular Midnight Club meeting and the stories. You can tell that she's not quite with it, and her condition does get worse throughout the episode. So it leads to this big cliffhanger at the end where it's really touch and go. There's a lot of drama, a lot of tension around her, and a lot of stakes, as I said, about is she going to live, is she going to die, what exactly is happening to her, what's happening when it comes to some of the supernatural stuff she's seeing. There's also stuff with Alonka and supernatural stuff in the episode. So it's quite a tense episode, it's quite meaty. We get more about her condition and more with the group really wanting to help her no matter what. So I'll talk about that stuff first of all, because throughout the stories at the meeting, she seems kind of out of it, like she's not really taking it in, she's not responding, and it's quite a well done scene the way it cuts to her every now and again, and you can see her getting more woozy and starting to get tired and pass out, and that's what she eventually does. And I like the fallout, all the friends' reaction, how they just want to help her, and they start talking about doing the ritual again, which obviously Alonka has learned about through these diaries, and this is her suggestion. So they have a meeting the next morning, but first of all, Alonka finds out that Anna has a drug problem and that she's OD'd, and that's what's caused her to pass out. And Alonka is mad with Staten, the doctor, the Heather Lagerkamp character, because she's like, how could you not tell me this? It's like, she's my roommate. This information could have been useful. And Staten gets quite protective and says, well, I didn't really think it was your thing to know, and stuff like that. But then they do have a meeting as a group. It's the normal group therapy, and I do actually like the bit with Sandra where someone brings up God, and they're being quite sort of cynical about it. Yeah, you can try and use God to preach and pray. And I'm not sure if it's a suggestion which the doctor makes, but someone just brings it up, and Sandra's like, screw God. And I like that, how when it comes to the heart of things, she doesn't always fall back on God, and this isn't the time. But I got into the fallout and the desperation of the group, how they would sort of do anything for Anna as she's dying. And once again, this dynamic, this tension grows between them and Georgina Statten's character, because she firmly keeps saying when they bring up the ritual, no, it won't do any good. And it once again paints her as a little bit cold and a little bit of the bad guy, but at the same time you can sort of see where she's coming from. And by contrast, we get more with the Sancha character, who Alonka bumps into in the woods and is once again telling her about the situation and tells her about the diary. And once again, Sancha's encouraging her to use the diary to maybe do the ritual, and she's once again just hinted at little bits about the past and saying that her and Georgina have history, and that I think it's Georgina. It's either Georgina or Geraldine, the name, but Stanton anyway, I know is the surname. But she also says that she's had reading materials like the diary and other things that have further history on the place. She's taking them away and censored stuff, and it's once again planting these seeds in Alonka's head. So I've got to say, at this point, I'm maybe starting to wonder if she's more of a villain than it first appears, and that the opposite is true with Stanton, just because they seem to be pushing that, so maybe it'll turn around and you'll see that Stanton is like the more likable character, the more sort of trustworthy, but she has her reasons for being the way she is, and just because of the way they're pushing it, and you sort of feel then it's gonna maybe turn out to be the opposite type thing. But a lot of stakes on with Honor in this episode, and they really build up the tension well. It leads to this big climax where they actually do try the ritual as a group, and it's this whole blood sacrifice thing where they each like give a little blood to the sacrifice, but before that they put in like a personal item, and it's sort of thing that works well in this type of series, this sort of story, because it is quite a sentimental like story anyway, and this feels like a fitting sort of scene. It goes around the different characters, and it's a nice little scene, but as it builds you get more drama and more tension as they try and save Honor, and Honor goes into this really intense state where she starts seeing shadows, and yeah, it literally ends on that, where she sees the shadows on the wall and or on the ceiling, and she's like calling out to them. But it's interesting. It's a good cliffhanger anyway. Like, is she about to die? What's going to happen? So good stuff at the end of the episode. Alonka also has this experience, like not too long before that scene, where has this freaky sort of nightmare where she's surrounded by all these figures in like cloaks, and it's a really good image. Like, I've used it for like the image of this video, or one of them, and that's one of the ones I've like an image I've just seen from like the trailer or something, which is a really good horror moment. So we get a couple of different stories in this episode, actually. One of them is just continuing on. It's like the Kevin one about Dusty, like the teenage serial killer, and it just expands on it, where like the detective like questions him and starts using him, like asks if he can help her out, or like just using like his computer knowledge or social media knowledge. But it's like she obviously suspects him in some way, that's why she's using that to try and get close to him. But then there's this thing about, as things intensify and Sheila gets closer to it, we see that Dusty actually cares about Sheila and doesn't want her involved, and is worried about what he'll do. So he tries to talk her into like not being around him, but she loves him, or she's into him, so they kiss, and it doesn't work out. And that's another cliffhanger. And I do like the running gag of Kevin saying, if you want to hear the rest of the story, you've got to stay alive long enough. So we're obviously going to return to that. And then we also get a fresh story that started from Alonka, which is where the title comes from, and that's about like a character played by that actress who is a witch, or has like witch heritage with her mother, who was a witch, who's passed on. And the whole thing is then she sees the future. She's that this guy is about to die like a week from now, like a shooting in a convenience store, this guy called Ben, who she then gets close to. And at first she thinks she saved him, because like there is this incident that she like stops him from dying in. And also it's that thing of, because she like changes the events of the week, she thinks that she saved him, and she has saved him, but that sort of then has consequences, where they go out one night with her and a group of her friends, and it's like this character, I can't remember the character's name, but played by the Honor actress, who actually they go to a convenience store, and it's the same convenience store as in her premonition where the shooting was, and it's actually her friend, the Yonnu the actress who gets shot and is in critical condition, and like the character, I forget her name now actually, but she's like Emil or something like that. Amani, I think. She's like racked with guilt, but then she feels she's caused this, but still goes out with the guy anyway, and that's kind of, once again, that's a cliffhanger, so we're going to return to that. So pretty solid stuff with the stories. Not the most amazing stories, but pretty solid stuff. So that's episode 6 of the Midnight Club. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you've been watching along, like and subscribe. As always, share me out on social media, and of course throughout the month of October I'm doing lots of different horror reviews, horror TV reviews and horror movie reviews. Some extra perks if you sign up for just $1 a month at patreon.com/borednow, doing some special horror themed reviews on there just for the patrons. So check that out if you want to support the channel just a little bit more, and I'll be back with more Midnight Club soon. Thanks for listening, and goodbye.